First off, my name is Dave Williams. I am one of the Associate Directors of Admissions here at Simpson. So I help students with the application process, answering any financial aid questions. I kind of guide you through that whole college search. And first and foremost, just want to say thanks for taking time out of your Thursday night to meet with us and learn a little bit more about, what makes Simpson special, and hearing specifically from the current students at Simpson. I'll go ahead and kick it over to the students and let them go ahead and introduce themselves. And like I said, we'll jump right into the question.
My name is Ethan Humble. I'm a sophomore this year. I'm double majoring in multimedia journalism, and it's actually changed since this was published. I'm now doing marketing communications, and I'm still minoring in math, and I'm also in the honors program. So taken on a fair amount, and it's been really rewarding to have different fields. I think Simpson does a good job of allowing that. But back to myself, I play on the men's tennis team. I'm in the concert and jazz bands. I'm a drummer, so that's my vibe. It's a good time. I also do a little speech and debate on the side. I write for the student newspaper. I host my own radio show. So anything communications related, I'm all for it.
All right. Well, I'm next. I'm Olivia Collins. I'm not quite as involved as Ethan, but I'm still pretty involved around campus. I'm a senior here this year. I'm majoring in religion, and I'm also doing minors in public relations and women and gender studies. I'm involved in the shooting team on campus, one of our sororities, Tri Delta, and also admissions. So, yeah.
My name is Trent Pelzer. I'm currently a freshman on campus, and I'm majoring in accounting and business management. And then along the way, I also plan to minor in management information systems or business analytics. And then a little bit more about myself is I'm on the track and cross country team here at Simpson, and I'm also in the accounting club.
Okay, so hi, I'm Kaylee Grabarkowitz. I'm a senior here on campus. My majors are math and biochemistry. I'm from Grand Rapids, Minnesota, which is about 7.5 hours north of here. So if any of you guys are a little bit further from home and have questions about that, feel free to ask. I've been involved in independent research on campus as well as studying abroad. I've gone on 2 different abroad trips, and I do a lot with the math department, different math modeling competitions, biomimicry competitions, that type of thing.
So we've got a couple questions. I do want to let everyone know this is Trent's first time on a student panel. So he just joined the admissions staff. So if you guys got some really tough questions, make sure you direct them right at Trent, and we'll just do baptism by fire here. But all kidding aside, he'll do great. But if the very first question that we have is, how's the food? Also, where's a good place to eat in town?
Yeah, so the food on campus, I think, is fine. We actually just got a new place in Kent, Sub Connections, which is set up a lot like Subway, which is really nice. You just tell them what you want in the sandwich and they build it in front of you, which I really like. It's super handy to get a quick sandwich before class or something. We also have the dining hall. My roommate goes there every day. She really likes the dining hall. So that's always an option as well.
Yeah, I would just second everything Kaylee said. I've been living in a sorority house for the last 2 years, so I don't have as much experience with that. We have, kind of a different dining system here in the house, but all my experiences with Simpson dining have been good. So.
And then there are a lot of places in town to get food as well. I like Brick House. They have good pizzas and pasta. There's La Casa, which is Mexican, Deng's Garden, which is Chinese. So really anything that you're in the mood for, you can find it right in Indianola, which is nice. You don't have to go very far.
Right. And we're pretty close to Des Moines too. So if you don't find something here that you like, it's 20 minutes for pretty much anything. So.
If you guys had to pick one spot in town in Indianola to go eat, where would that be?
Deng's Garden. Chinese is my favorite.
So Chinese.
Liv, I would say Brick House.
Brick House?
Brick House, yep.
Ethan or Trent, have you guys ventured that far yet?
Dave, you may think I'm a beginner, but my brother graduated here in 2016, so I'm pretty familiar with Indianola.
Nice.
And so if I had to choose a place, I would definitely go to Brick House. I think it's a staple in town.
I would probably pick the Mexican, La Casa. I think they actually have quite a good variety of options there that I can enjoy.
All right, so we got a variety. Lainey, do you want to chime in there at all? Any local spots for you?
Yeah, so I'm kind of a townie. One place I think that everyone should definitely hit when they come to Simpson is Pete's Pizza. It's one of the pizza places on the square. It's wood oven, but reminder, definitely pay in cash because I forgot my debit card before, and that was a mistake, but it all worked out.
I think Wynn's is probably my favorite. It's like a little local restaurant, kind of a hole in the wall, but it's pretty good. It has a pretty good pizza too. All right, next question is, does Simpson have a preference for AP or IB? So I'll go ahead and answer that because I don't think the students know what's going on there. But so we will take either or. With both AP and IB credits, you can transfer in a max of 24, and it's all based on your scores from those tests. So if you take the AP test, most of them you have to score a 3 or above. With the IB exams, you've got to score 4 or above, and that's how those credits will actually transfer in. Now, one thing to keep in mind is we do have an IB scholarship. So if you happen to be on the diploma program and you're an IB student, that's a scholarship that you can apply for as well. If you happen to be a senior that's asking that question, you just got to make sure that application for that IB scholarship is done by February 1st, because that's the deadline for all of our additional scholarship apps. So that's something to keep in mind. And if you ever want to see how those test scores transfer in, you can just Google or just search on our simpson.edu website, just search AP or search IB, and it will list exactly how each test score transfers into Simpson, what kind of designations it carries with it, how many credits it carries. It really maps everything out there for you. And then by the time you're a senior, we would just need those test scores like sent to us from College Board or wherever it might be. And then we will send you what's called a credit evaluation. So again, you can see exactly how many credits you will have before you even get started at Simpson. So I'm sure like Liv or Ethan or any students, did you guys transfer credits into Simpson at all?
Yeah, I actually got the IB diploma in high school. So I'm super familiar with that program. And one thing with that is transferring the credits was really easy. And another thing, I know at least for me, I wasn't super confident with like my IB calc class just because we didn't get to all of the stuff in time, but I still scored well on the exam. If you don't feel super confident and you want to be a math major or something, you can retake a class. Like if you don't want to use those credits or you want to use them for something else, that's totally fine too. But it just kind of sets you up to have more options and maybe take more classes that you're interested in rather than trying to figure out what fulfillments.
And always keep in mind, while the question was geared more towards AP and IB credits, you can transfer in community college credits as well. There's no limit on community college credits. So if you happen to be from the Des Moines area and you're taking classes at DMAC, you can transfer in however many you want. And it's a 1-for-1 transfer as long as you got a C or above in those classes. So if you have 20 credits at DMAC, you will start with 20 credits at Simpson as well. And always work with your admissions counselor. So myself or Lainey can help you kind of figure out how those transfer in. But again, if you sent the transcript into us, we will map that out for you and show you exactly what you'd be starting with here at Simpson. Anyone else want to chime in? Any other students transfer credits in?
I just transferred credits in from a local community college near my hometown. So yeah, it definitely works well.
And everything transferred, right?
Yep, everything transferred.
I was gonna say, in my 6 years here, I have yet to see a community college course not transfer in as credit at Simpson. So as long as you do your part and do well in that class, everything's gonna carry over for you.
Yeah, and that's not just for Iowa schools. Like I was able to transfer in some credits from a community college back home in Minnesota, and that went really smoothly as well.
All right, next question we have for the students is, what are the classrooms like, especially with all the changes with COVID? So maybe just kind of talk about just the general classroom setting, maybe pre-COVID, if you guys remember that, and then what kind of those changes were for like this fall semester.
I can take this one. I think that I think it's a really engaging environment that Simpson has. I think they definitely encourage that everyone in the class participates and gives their opinions on things. You're not going to be able to just sit around like at a bigger university and just be a number. You're definitely a name here, and the professors will notice if you're not in class and they'll reach out to you and make sure that everything's okay and that you're doing all right. Um, but yeah, I think it's definitely something that helped me coming from a smaller high school was coming here. It was a very smooth transition to having that class size being around, like the average 25 to like 30 students per class rather than just a huge lecture hall that you think of when you think of a bigger college. So that was one thing that definitely helped me decide to come here. But now during COVID, it's a little different because we have to wear masks and we have to socially distance in the classroom. You have to sit like every other seat. We're taking up some of like these bigger areas, like we're having classes in some performance halls and like the theater where we have our shows. It's kind of odd, but we're making it work, and that's all you can ask.
But for the most part, would you say your fall courses this past fall have been face to face?
Oh, yes, they have. I had one hybrid class, but the rest were all in person for me. But that really does vary from student to student. Some teachers are more willing to go in person, and some have been all Zoom. It just depends.
Yeah, I know this semester and last semester I've have one online class, and that has to do with like one of my professors has a child that's immunocompromised and she doesn't want to be putting her child at risk. So we do Zoom, but it's still like in-person Zoom face to face this way. So it's still engaging. It's not like you're just listening to lecture videos, like you still get to talk and have conversations that way.
All right. So next question. I hope that, Crystal, I hope that answered your question well enough there in regards to the classrooms and how that changed with COVID. Next question is, would you recommend bringing a car to campus? So let's start with maybe the first year, Trent here, and you can talk about that.
All right. Yeah. So I actually don't have a car on campus, and I don't think that it hurts me in any way. I think that all my friends have cars, and that's a perfect way to make friends is just if someone's walking down the floor like, hey, who wants to go to Hy-Vee and grab something, then just hop in the car. And I think that everyone on campus is like really nice to each other about giving each other rides. And I've managed just fine without having a car. So I don't think that you need a car on campus, and it's not necessary at all. But if you have a car, that works too.
And does anyone have a car on campus?
So I have a car, mostly because it's like 7.5 hours for me to get home and my family doesn't want to come pick me up. But my car rarely leaves its parking spot than to go to and from home. And sometimes like if I go to Des Moines or something, it's nice to have that car if I do want to do a trip. But like Trent said, I know so many people that also have cars that like of my roommates, like one of them could give me a ride and it would be fine. It just kind of depends on like what you think you're going to be doing, but there is so much to do in Indianola. Everything's walking distance. So we walk to the movie theater. We walk to the restaurants just because it's like a block down the street. But I'm not going to lie and say like having a car is nice. It gives you the freedom to go to Des Moines, but it's definitely not necessary.
Yeah, I would just add, because our campus is so small, everything is walking distance. So even the apartments that are more geared for like juniors and seniors that are a little farther off campus, that's still, a 10-ish minute walk to central campus. And it is nice, just to have the personal freedom like Kaylee was talking about, for like trips to Des Moines. I have an internship this year, so it's been good for that, but definitely not necessarily like I was saying.
Yeah, just kind of going off like the apartments and stuff. I was in crutches for 4 months last year and I was still able to navigate campus just fine. So like if somebody can do it in crutches, everybody's like fine walking. Everything is pretty close. I live in the apartment, so it was just I had to cross the road and there I was at like all the buildings. So everything is definitely close, which is really nice.
And for any high school seniors that are coming to Simpson this coming fall, just so you guys know, a parking pass for the year is $150. Everything's color coded, so your pass will be color coded, and each lot will be color coded. You obviously just park in the lot that your color is. Otherwise, we do have someone that will give you a ticket, and they're pretty strict about that, as I'm sure everyone else has experienced at some point. They take their job very seriously, which is great, but you just want to be aware of that when you actually get on campus as well.
Another nice thing is if your car battery dies in the middle of the parking lot freshman year, security will come and jump it for you.
All right, another question is, what's it like living on campus? So Liv, let's start with you.
Yeah, I guess mine is probably not the same as everyone else's experience. So I started in the first year dorms. Absolutely loved it. My roommate and I were best friends. And then we went to the sophomore dorms together as well. And then I moved into the sorority house for my junior and senior year. It's been really great. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's so nice. You know, you get to live in a space with like-minded people, especially, you know, for COVID times. It's really good because instead of your family unit just being your roommates, I have my entire sorority that I get to spend time with. So I'm not going quite as stir crazy in a tiny little room. I get a whole house, you know, and I think that's pretty great. But yeah.
So I followed a little bit of a different path because I'm not in a sorority. So I lived in the first year dorms. I loved it. Me and my roommate got along really great. We actually still live together. We moved to sophomore living, which was nice. The main difference between first year living and sophomore living is just less people share a bathroom. And then from there, I was able to move into our on-campus apartments. What's really nice about those is it's like an actual apartment, so I don't feel like I'm in a dorm. So it's just me and my 3 roommates. We have a kitchen, we have a dining room. I really love it. I think it's a nice transition to go from the dorms to an apartment, and then once I leave Simpson into an apartment, it's not as like sudden of a change in living space or anything like that. So I really like living on campus. It's nice to stay centralized. You're also close to where your classes are. So like if you wake up late, you can just like roll out of bed and run to class, or stuff like that. It's just nice to be where kind of like the action is. Doing those weekend events on campus and stuff like that, you don't have to worry. Or if the roads are icy during the winter, you don't have to worry about like commuting because you're just right on campus.
All right, next question is kind of a loaded question. Pretty ambiguous here, but how are the professors? So Ethan, let's start with you on this one, man.
Yeah, you got it, Dave. I think that the professors are actually a pretty big selling point as to what makes Simpson so great. And I'm not saying that to just be like a suck up and an ambassador. I genuinely do believe that the professors, they care about the students a lot and that they're actually there to help you. They have certain office hours that they are just sitting in their office waiting for students to drop by to ask questions. And like I say on tour, I always recommend that students take that opportunity because although it's there, not everyone takes it. But if you do, you'll be rewarded because you're building that relationship with the professors. And that can go a long way to like helping you secure internships down the line, getting letters of recommendation. They're always willing to do that kind of stuff for their students. And they genuinely do care about you. You can stop by and just have the most random conversations imaginable with your professors. And they really are people too. That's one realization that I had from high school to college is that you don't really talk to your high school teachers out of class, but you do with your professors quite a bit.
I would just add also, they have like a personal stake in your success at Simpson, and it really shows. You know, you think of that more in, you know, the professors that are in your major. Like obviously, that's kind of, you know, their success is kind of yours, or your success is kind of their success. But even the professors that have like no stake, where, you know, it's just a class that you're getting some credits in, they genuinely care as well. And I would say that probably about half of my professors have given out their personal cell phone numbers on the syllabus day, because they want you to know how reachable they are, how much they care. So
Yeah, just kind of to echo that, my professors, especially my advisors, I'm really close to all of them. They do care. I had surgery last summer, and both of my advisors called and texted me over the summer just to see how the surgery went. Like, they didn't have to do that. I was at home, but it's just like showing that they're invested, which is nice while you're on campus to have that community. And also, what thinking future wise, like, my plan is to go to grad school. My advisor just spent half an hour on the phone talking to a grad school admissions counselor on my behalf and stuff like that. Like, they really do want to help you be as successful as you can be while you're at Simpson and beyond.
I would like to just point out too, so I just graduated in May and I work on campus now as an admissions counselor, but I met with two of my professors on campus probably about a month ago. I saw two of them in the political science department, and, we talked, we hit it off. They were like, how's the new job going? Stuff like that. And one of them gave me a book to read about, South American politics. Cause he's like, I remembered that you like this, and here you go. And so I was like, he didn't have to do that, but he did, and he wanted to. And so that was nice.
Good answers, everybody. Good answers. All right. So next question, we'll go to Trent on this one. Is there a shared kitchen for everyone living in the dorms?
Yeah, so I live in Kresge Hall. There are two freshman halls for freshmen to live in, and the shared kitchen is on the bottom floor. I personally never use it, but I do know that it is there if you need it.
Has anyone on this Zoom used the shared kitchen for their own stuff?
Yeah, I used it one time. What's nice is most of the CAs, I think they still do have like pots and pans and stuff that you can borrow from them too. So you don't have to worry about like having your own fry pan and stuff like that, which is really nice. And the kitchen area has a stove, an oven, and a full-size fridge and freezer. So like you can cook something on the stove, bake something. It's kind of up to you.
Would you say most students have a fridge in their room though, like a mini fridge?
Yeah.
That and a microwave too. I had a Keurig my freshman year too, just because like I wanted my morning coffee.
Kaylee is living large. All right, next question we have is, what kind of internship opportunities are there? So I think we'll defer to Kaylee and Liv on this just because you guys are a little further along in the process. And then we'll open it up to Ethan after that.
Okay, so I haven't had like an internship just because what I want to go into is research. But I know there's a lot of research opportunities on campus. I do undergraduate research on campus with my advisor, which is a really great opportunity. We also have like summer research programs. So there's the Bryan Summer Research. What's unique about that is it's for math majors, and only first and second year students can apply to be a part of that. So you don't have to worry about competing with upperclassmen. It's really designed to help first and second year students get their foot in the door and gain that experience. I know biology has the SCUR program. So that's for biologists and environmental science students. So there's a lot of different opportunities on campus. And then there's a lot of opportunities to apply for research and internships that the professors will help with off campus as well. So they will help with those letters of recommendation, those applications and that type of thing as well.
Right. Yeah, for sure. We also have career services. So if you don't have like specific professors that are going to help you find one, they're super helpful. I'm actually doing an internship with an adjunct professor right now. So kind of a little bit of a different path, but also really speaks to the student professor relationship. And I know I'm not the first student to intern with her, and I definitely won't be the last. And a lot of our professors do have connections in Des Moines, whether it's a place that they've worked in the past or they know people that work there. They're always super helpful about getting those internships for you.
Yeah, a lot of the senior capstones, which is like the course you take at the end of your major, you can do either like a project on campus or an internship. So all of those professors know where students have internshiped in the past. They can help make those connections. So you're not going to go out there with no idea what to do. If you talk to your professors, they'll kind of guide you and help connect you with Simpson alum that could help you get internships, with companies and places that Simpson students have interned before, and just kind of help you navigate that.
So I've been looking around and trying to find what kind of internships I could get for the summer because I'm pretty busy during the school year. So I kind of wanted to stay away from that option. And I utilized Handshake, which is a platform that Simpson students will use. And it has just all the jobs listed right on there. And you can just apply real simply on there. And career development is a team of, I guess, mentors, if you will, that help you write resumes, develop your cover letters. They help you with mock interviews. I've really utilized that a lot. And it looks like I've got one for sure, but I'm waiting for an email back to work at this news station that I'm looking at. So it's exciting stuff. But yeah, it's definitely, you have a lot of people there to cheer you on and help you, like the other two were saying.
All right, next question is a really good one. What is your favorite place on campus?
Mine is Kent Campus Center. So not all of my friends are in the sorority, so it's a nice place to go and just kind of hang out with friends. Not so much this year, but like in a normal year, just go there and they would typically eat. We have a few different dining options and just like work on homework. There were a few nights that we closed out the building, but yeah, it's just kind of a nice place to go and see a lot of different people.
Mine is probably Carver Science Hall, just because like I basically live there. It's where all my math and science classes are. It has an atrium area where we do studying. That's where most of my friends are in STEM, just because we have classes together. It's where I do my research, so it's my favorite place.
Mine would probably be the Holy Grounds coffee shop that we have. It's right there connected to the chapel, and you just feel at ease when you walk through there because they have some real soothing music going on throughout the day. But something that's actually really fun about the building itself is that you can go in there 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's all-time access to students. As long as you have an ID, you can get in. So I'll have some late night grinds there. Well, I did back freshman year, but a little different this year. But that was always one of the most fun times when you go to Holy Grounds with the gang, play some games, do some studying. It was fun.
I love to get up in the morning and go work out, and the facilities and the athletic complex are amazing, and that's probably my favorite place on campus.
Lainey, do you want to chime in on this one? Recent grad?
Yeah, so there were a couple places. I mean, you always try to find a place to study on campus, right? So there are quite a few places on campus where you can, go with your friends and stuff, but there are always professors that are willing to be there to help you, like in different buildings. So I actually love Maryberry Hall because Maryberry is a nice, quiet place to go if you need to study or if you need to ask professors questions. And they're always willing to let you sit in their professor's lounge or, kind of go over stuff there. So that's probably my favorite place.
For me, I was not a music student, but I loved hanging out in the music building just because I didn't know a lot of people over there. And it was always nice because someone was singing or playing instruments, and just that was kind of made a good background to studying. So for me, that was one of my favorite spots to be. All right, next question is, were any of you undecided your first year? And if so, what kind of classes did you take? Was anybody undecided coming in? A few nods.
For me, I wasn't technically undecided. I had like two paths that I was kind of testing out the waters with. I was looking at actuarial science, which is very math oriented, and then communications and journalism, which is what I ended up doing. So I guess I took a class in both of those, and I tried to get a couple gen eds knocked out as well. But yeah, you definitely have time. You can kind of stall making that decision by taking your embedded skills and areas of engagement courses that you're going to have to take to graduate anyway. So it doesn't really make a difference. And this is where I would plug the honors program that I'm a member of, because that's been a way to kind of take those general classes to the next level with some really engaged discussion. And I would highly encourage anyone who's looking for that experience to apply.
Yeah, I kind of thought that I was going to go the public relations route, but wasn't quite sure. So I took a lot of intro classes, like intro PR and intro to psychology, which I think actually Lainey was in that class with me. Um, but yeah, just a good opportunity to, take your time and figure out what you want your major to be. I didn't actually officially declare until my junior year, which I don't recommend doing, but definitely is a possibility. So
I wasn't undecided when I came in, but I did end up changing my majors, which is very common for a lot of people. So I came in neuroscience and forensic science, and now I'm math and biochemistry. So even if you kind of know what you want to do, still go around and take some of those intro level classes, get some of those generals out of the way, because you'll maybe find something that you didn't know that you were going to be interested in, or like I thought I was terrible at math. And like when I came in, I said I was never taking another math class after Calc 1. Clearly that changed. My advisor who I had for Calc 1 kind of encouraged me to stick with it, which I'm so thankful I did. But yeah, you might end up changing it. So don't feel like you have to be so set in what you want to do. My roommate came in pre-med, and she's now applied philosophy and sociology because she realized she doesn't like science. So don't feel like you need to stick on the path that you thought you were going to when you first came in. Like, test things out, make sure that that's what you want to do, and kind of find what you're passionate about.
And one thing to keep in mind too is, just like the student said, is there's so many different options. There's over 80 different programs you can choose from. And you can see just by their descriptions here, like all of you guys are involved in multiple academic areas. Simpson is really designed to let the students kind of pick and choose what they're interested in, what they're passionate about. And inevitably you find yourself picking up an additional major or an additional minor because you've enjoyed those classes, and it's going to make yourself a little bit more marketable and make yourself stand out when you do start applying for those internships and those jobs as well, that you're not only knowledgeable in one area, but you have a wide variety of experiences and a variety of academic spots. So just something to keep in mind, and is something that Simpson really encourages for its students.
Also, don't be afraid to like double major or like pick up a minor or anything. You can totally graduate in 4 years. All of the professors are really great. So I'm in my second semester senior year. I finished my math major last semester, and I'm just finishing up my biochemistry. So you definitely can pick up more than one major, and it's totally feasible, and you're not going to have to bend over backwards and like overload every semester. I'm literally in 3 classes right now. So don't feel like you can't pick it up because it's going to be too much. Work with your professors, see if it works with your schedule, and don't be afraid to try something.
All right, next question is, what's it like to be a first-year student? So we will start with Trent as the current first-year student. Obviously came in during COVID, so a little bit different experience than everyone else, but just kind of talk about that transition from high school to college, and kind of what Simpson offers to support you along that way.
Yeah, so I would say that the biggest difference from high school to college is that there's obviously more coursework. It's a little bit more difficult, and I think that can kind of scare some students. Like for me, I was a little bit worried, like, oh man, this is going to be tougher. I'm not going to have time to get all my homework done. But I think the main difference from high school to college was that you're not sitting in a classroom for 8 hours a day. And then in college, you're only in the classroom for like maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours per day. And then you have the rest of the time to, go to the library, study, and get your stuff done. I think that if you are on top of things, that can lead to a lot of free time at the end of the day. And I thought that was pretty good. And I think that's the biggest change from high school to college for me. But just if you stay on top of your things, then it'll be good.
I know when I was a first year student, I was terrified. I was 7.5 hours from home. When I came into school at Simpson, I was super, super, super shy. Like, looking back, I would never be here saying any words. Like, I was really nervous. I wasn't going to make friends. I knew I was going to do fine with the coursework, academics, because that's always been my strong suit. But once I got on campus and met my roommate and like met the people across the hall, I was like, okay, I'm fine. Like, I can talk to people. So it is, I'm not going to lie and say it's not scary. Like, it's a new place. But you really, especially at a place like Simpson, find your group of people. You make those connections. Everybody's so nice. And like, you have to remember, everybody as a first year is feeling the same way. Like, they're all in a new place. So you can kind of, it's not like anybody has the upper hand or is super familiar with campus. You're all kind of navigating it together. And so that's kind of nice. And so I was nervous at first, but after like my first week, I was like, okay, this is fine. I've met people. I know my roommate, we get along great. And you kind of just ease into things. And now it's like second nature. I can't imagine why I was ever nervous.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I was horrified. Both that like I don't know, I wouldn't find people or be friends with people, and that I would fail out and have to go back home. But neither of those things happened, obviously. I was in Kresge my first year, and like our whole floor was really close. We would like go do stuff together, different like homecoming activities that we all did. I don't know, it was just a really good time to kind of get out of your comfort zone and push yourself a little bit and get to know people. It's also a really good opportunity to like go and join a new club, or reach out to people. If you're in a sport, reach out to some of those upperclassmen. Maybe get to know them, get to know some different things, join a sorority or fraternity, or even just go through recruitment, just, for fun, just to get to know people. Yeah, it's just a really good time to make some new kind of habits in your life, I would say.
Being a student athlete at Simpson.
It's been a really good experience. I think meeting your teammates is one way, like some of the other guys were saying, is a good way to like just meet upperclassmen and see a good role model and how they're handling themselves, because that's going to be you in a few years, whether you like it or not. So I think being on a team is a good way to just envision yourself in their shoes.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely doable. I mean, you ask pretty much anyone on campus if they're involved in some type of athletic. I would say, I don't know, maybe like 9 out of 10 people almost. It's just a very athletic campus, I would say. And yeah, it's pretty easy. You have your set practice times, you figure out how to work it all into your schedule when you can get homework done. If that means you're staying up a little bit later, that's okay. But yeah, definitely worth it, I would say, to pursue athletics in college.
Just to give you guys a stat, it ends up being about 40% of our students on campus are student athletes. So it is very common. Just like Liv was saying, there's a ton of student athletes on campus. Just gives you another opportunity to continue competing in the sport that you love as well. All right, next question is about roommates. Did any of y'all find a roommate before you got to the college? How did you find your roommate?
So there's kind of 2 different ways. Well, I guess you could say 3 different ways of going about it. If you know somebody who is going to be coming to Simpson, you can definitely choose to room with them. Otherwise, once you kind of decide you're going to Simpson, they'll put you in this Simpson, like ours was Simpson Class of 2021 Facebook page. And what inevitably ends up happening is people go in there and say like, hi, my name's Olivia. I'm looking for a roommate. These are things that I'm interested in. And people find their roommates through that. Otherwise, Simpson does a kind of like matchmaking service, which is how I found my roommate. And so you go in, you say all sorts of different things, from like what time you typically go to bed, wake up, the temperature that you prefer the room to be, just, different things like that. But then also you as a person, different values, things like that. So that is my preferred route. I always recommend that to people on tour, because like I said, that's how I met my roommate. We ended up living 2 years together. We're still really close friends. So yeah.
I just want to say, oh, go ahead, Ethan.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I would be one who found them on the Facebook page. So my roommate Chase and I, we met on there, and we were both on a tennis team. We had fairly similar schedules, and it just kind of worked out that way. So just to show that there's multiple options, and Liv pointed those out great. So
And just one thing with roommates. So I did the roommate Facebook page. So for my freshman first semester, I had a roommate. We got along great, but our living styles weren't necessarily the same. She was a lot messier than I was, and so at semester I ended up switching to one of my friends who I'd met. They lived next door, so I moved to the room next door, and we've lived together since then. So a lot of times people find their roommate freshman year and it's amazing, they've lived together, but you're not gonna be locked into that. Like, there's opportunities to change roommates. So if you're nervous or feel like, what if I hate my roommate and like it's not great, we can't live together, there are opportunities for you to switch rooms. You're not going to be just trapped there. A lot of times it's things that you can work out with a CA, a community advisor. But sometimes it's just like, she was a lot messier. My friend's roommate was moving out, so I just took her place and it all worked out. But I just like to mention that, like, you're not going to be trapped with someone if it's really not getting along.
And as an admissions counselor, we take that matchmaking process very seriously. Like, we spend an entire day in a room looking at those housing contracts and trying to match you with someone that fits your personality, your study habits. Are you wake up early in the morning? Do you go to bed late? And I will tell any student, like, just make sure that you fill that out yourself and that you are brutally honest about it. Don't let mom and dad fill that out for you, because Ethan's mom and dad might say Ethan goes to bed at 8 o'clock and he's up at 6 a.m. We all know that may not be accurate. So again, just make sure you fill it out and that you list everything. Like, just be as honest as possible with that, because we take that very seriously and try to match you with someone as close to that profile that you describe in that as well. Next question is there any time to hold a job?
Yes. I actually last semester had 3 jobs on campus. So you have work study jobs. Those are really nice. You can qualify through those through your FAFSA, but Simpson has a lot of positions where even if you don't qualify for a work study, you can still find a position on campus. What's really nice about those is it fits with your schedule really easily, because like school comes first. So for student ambassador for this type of thing, I send my boss my schedule for classes and she fits in my ambassador schedule around that. So that's a really great opportunity to have a job but not have to worry about like it conflicting as much, because you're working for the school. So they recognize that like school comes first. But I do know a lot of people who have jobs off campus. My roommate, she's actually has 2 jobs off campus, just because she's saving up for an apartment because we're about to graduate. But she's had at least 1 off campus job since freshman year. It's just kind of up to you to have time management skills. and make sure that you aren't trying to push yourself too far by signing up for all of these hours when you know you have homework. And it's just kind of a balancing act, but it's definitely feasible. Freshman year, my roommate also, she had an off-campus job and didn't have a car, so she walked to work. She found a place close to campus. So if you don't have a car but still want a job off campus, that's also an option. But I definitely recommend looking at a work-study position just because it's a lot easier to manage.
All right, so I think we've got 2 questions left, and we'll end with these 2. The first one I'll answer. It's just adding on to housing stuff. Essentially, I think they're asking when the housing contract will be available. For students that are coming in this fall, if you've paid your enrollment deposit, that housing contract will be available sometime mid-February. So that's when we will start building new student accounts and getting you that information so that you can fill out housing contracts, sign up for orientation, registration dates. All of that will kind of happen that mid-February timeframe if you've already paid your deposit. And the last questions that we'll end on is, are study abroad programs popular at Simpson?
Yes, they are. I think the stat, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, I think 1 in 4 students study abroad at some point during their time here at Simpson. And you can do that either semester long, or you can go on a May term trip, which is just a little 3-week excursion. I was trying to go to Australia this fall. I was pretty bummed it didn't happen, but for obvious reasons. And they have a 2-year rotation, so I'm going to still be able to go my senior year, hopefully. So it kind of works out nicely. They have a rotation that they follow that you can go on, and you can pick what your location is that you're desiring, and it works out real nicely with your programs.
Okay, I've gone on 2 study abroad trips, so sorry if I'm talking a lot. It's just happens when you're a senior, you just have done everything. What's really great about the May term trips is we have the fall semester, the spring semester, and then a 3-week May term. You do a prep course before you leave, so you get to meet the professor, meet the other students in the class. That's where you do all the homework, so when you're in country, you can enjoy being in country. What's really cool is I went on a World War I trip. I am clearly not a history major. It's just something that I was interested in. So you can kind of branch out and do something that you're not majoring in, but still interested in. There were plenty of other students that weren't history majors on that trip as well. So that's a really great opportunity. I know they usually do some sort of photography trip. A lot of different things like that you can get involved in. It's also a really great way to get one of your like ECC, your engaged citizenship curriculum credits out of the way. So you get to enjoy being in another country, seeing a new culture, but also getting those credits back home. And it's not like a typical school trip. When you're in country, they give you days to like just kind of relax and explore the city. So when we were in London, most afternoons and evenings we had to just explore the city. I've also gone to Costa Rica on a study abroad trip. We spent a whole day just at the beach, just hanging out, because when you're in country, and yes, you want to learn a lot and do a lot of the educational things, but you also want at least a little bit of time to be a tourist. So they're a really great opportunity on campus.
Definitely take advantage of the study abroad trips as much as possible, because it's a great experience. You get to do and see a lot of great things. It is an additional cost, one thing you want to be aware of, but they try to limit that cost to anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000, especially for those May term trips. So again, it's something that's extremely popular at Simpson, just like Ethan said, and definitely take advantage of that if you have that opportunity. So I think, go ahead, Kaylee.
And there's study abroad specific scholarships and loans that you can apply for to make that a lot more affordable. So like one of my fellowships that I have on campus gave me a travel stipend. So I was able to pay for one of my study abroad trips with that. So if you are worried about the cost, definitely go to those resources. They do some sort of scholarship workshop to help you fill out those applications with some of the faculty members that run the study abroad program. So don't count it out if you're worried about the cost. Kind of look into what options you have, because you might be able to get some scholarship that pays for a little bit, if not all of it.
All right, so I think with that, guys, we're gonna just shift gears over to just some general admission stuff. I'll say this just for a few minutes. All right, so these are just some like key figures that kind of make Simpson unique. A few that I want to touch on is every single student that applies and is admitted to Simpson is going to receive some sort of financial aid based on your GPA. So every student earns an academic scholarship at Simpson, something that we try to really focus on making it as affordable as possible and making it as accessible for a lot of students and families. The last thing that I really want to hit on is Simpson has a 99% placement rate. So within 6 months of graduation, Simpson students are either employed full-time or they're in grad school. So I think that's something that is really cool. And I think Simpson, that's when a lot of families ask me, what does Simpson do better than other institutions? That's the one thing that I typically reference is we make sure our students are ready for that next step. And that, again, the students hit on this earlier, from career services to the faculty that they get to know throughout their 4 years. It's really a two-pronged approach in making sure that you're going to have the connections, the networking skills, and those opportunities, those hands-on learning opportunities that, again, will really take you to the next step and give you that first job opportunity. You can see our costs listed there. You can see the scholarship chart that's based on your GPA. Always keep in mind that the scholarship chart, that is the minimum amount that you would receive. So that is only the minimum. It's only going to increase based on other scholarships that you apply for or anything that you're eligible for through the FAFSA as well. So next steps from here, guys, like if you feel like Simpson, it could be a really good spot for you. The most important thing, and the students will reiterate this too, but you got to go visit. You got to come visit campus. You got to step foot on campus, because I think that's when you will really see what Simpson has to offer you specifically. And you can tour campus, you can meet with faculty, you can meet with coaches. It really provides that one-on-one environment where, again, you can go a little bit more in depth as to what Simpson has to offer you and what you're interested in. So get out and visit. You can work with your admissions counselors, or you can go directly to our website at simpson.edu. There's a link at the top that says visit. Just click on that, follow the instructions, and we'll get you set up. We are open for visits, so physically visiting campus is an option. So we'd love to have you on campus and show you around. So set those visits up, and then we'll get everything scheduled for you there. Obviously, our website's a great resource, so check that out when you get a chance. If you are a senior and you still have yet to apply, get that application in. It's free. It's on our website. Probably takes you 10 or 15 minutes. Once you get that application, that's when we can really get the ball rolling on your admissions process. We are test optional, so that means we only need your transcript in addition to your application. So again, if you apply, get that transcript over, we'll get you admitted pretty quickly, and we'll get you going into the financial aid discussions once we get your FAFSA as well. So you can see our FAFSA code there, 001887. If you've already filed that but haven't sent it to Simpson, just edit it, add Simpson, then resubmit. And once you've been admitted, once we have your FAFSA, that's when we get you your financial aid offer. And then if you like that financial aid offer and feel like the cost, the value at Simpson is going to be a good opportunity for you, that's when you pay that enrollment deposit, which again moves you along to those next steps. So again, guys, thank you everyone for being here. I want to thank our current Simpson students. You guys did an amazing job as always. Thank you to all of the prospective students for taking time out of your busy schedule. If you have questions, don't be afraid to reach out. My email address is just dave.williams@simpson.edu. You can see it on my Zoom block or whatever you want to call it. Laney's is the same, so just laney.fight@simpson.edu. So reach out to us with any questions you have. We'd love to see you on campus, and we hope if you are a senior or junior that you guys decide to join the Simpson family when it comes that time. So again, thank you for being here. We hope everyone enjoys your evening, and we'll see you on campus soon.